The big question in eFootball right now is simple. Did Konami just replace Fabio Capello with Franz Beckenbauer? Because on the surface, it looks like an upgrade. Same playstyle, same system, same long ball counter setup sitting at 89. But when you actually go into the details, that's where things get interesting. That's where things start to feel a little bit misleading. Let's slow this down. Because if you're thinking about spending 750 coins, you need to understand exactly what you're getting. Not just the hype, not just the name, but the actual impact on your gameplay. First of all, Franz Beckenbauer as a manager? That already sounds crazy. You see the name, you see the aura, and instantly your brain is like, yeah, this must be better. Because it's Beckenbauer. It just feels premium. And Konami knows that. They know people are going to look at that name and think it's an instant upgrade over Capello. But when you actually compare both managers side by side, that's where the illusion starts to break. Let's talk about the system first. Both managers run long ball counter at 89. So in terms of playstyle, there is no difference. You're still playing direct football. Quick transitions, vertical passes, fast attacks. That part doesn't change. So if you're expecting Beckenbauer to suddenly transform your entire playstyle, that's not happening. Now let's get into the boosts. Because this is where everything matters. Beckenbauer gives you +1 dribbling, +1 defensive awareness. And on paper, that doesn't look bad. Dribbling boost? Nice. Defensive awareness? Solid. But then you look at Capello, and suddenly, it becomes very clear. Capello gives +1 finishing, +1 defensive awareness. Now pause for a second, because this is where the real conversation starts. Finishing versus dribbling. Which one actually matters more in this system? Think about how long ball counter works. You're not trying to dribble through 5 players. You're not playing slow possession football. You're not relying on tight control and skill moves in midfield. No. You're going direct. You're looking for runs. You're trying to get your striker into dangerous positions as quickly as possible. And when that moment comes, you need one thing. You need to finish. That +1 finishing from Capello, it might look small, but in game, that can be the difference between goal or miss, win or loss. Because let's be real, like how many times have you had that one chance, that one opportunity in a tight match, and your striker just misses? That's where finishing matters. That's where Capello quietly gives you an advantage. Now compare that to Beckenbauer's +1 dribbling. Is it useful? Yes. But is it game-changing in a long ball counter system? Not really, because you're not building your attacks around dribbling. You're not relying on your players to carry the ball for long periods. You're moving fast, passing quickly, getting into the final third as soon as possible. So that dribbling boost, it's nice to have, but it's not essential. And then both managers give +1 defensive awareness. So defensively, they're equal. No advantage there. Now let's talk about something a lot of people are ignoring, the actual passing influence, because this is where Capello quietly becomes even more valuable. Capello comes with over-the-top pass A, and that is huge, because in long ball counter, your entire system depends on those forward balls, those quick, long passes, those moments where you bypass the midfield and send your striker through on goal. And with over-the-top pass A, those passes become more accurate, more consistent, more dangerous. Now compare that to Beckenbauer. He has breakthrough pass B, and yes, it's still useful. It helps with progression. It helps move the ball forward. But it's not as impactful as over-the-top pass A in this system, because breakthrough pass B is more about general progression, while over-the-top pass A is about direct goal opportunities, and that's what long ball counter is built for. So now the question becomes, why does Beckenbauer feel like the new option? Why does it look like he's replacing Capello? Simple. Hype. Presentation. Konami didn't change the system. They didn't improve the playstyle. They just introduced a new manager with a legendary name and slightly different boosts, but different doesn't mean better. And this is where you need to be careful, because 750 coins is not small. Especially if you're a free-to-play player, that's a serious investment. So you have to ask yourself, what am I actually gaining? If you already have Capello, you're not upgrading. You're just trading finishing for dribbling. And in this system, that's not worth it. Now don't get me wrong, Beckenbauer is not bad. He's still a solid manager. If you don't have Capello, if you're new, if you just want a long ball counter setup, then yes, he's usable. He will work. But if you're choosing between the two, if you're asking who is actually better, the answer is clear, Capello.